Hello, everyone. Welcome to a professionally unprofessional podcast recording. I'm joined once again by my good friends Reese in the middle and Elliot on the right.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Wow, that was a hell of an intro. So a lot to talk about today. We got like 6 games to talk about that we wanted to highlight. We're not gonna. There's a few obviously we're missing. Like we don't really have much to say on the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, except it's really good.
Yeah.
The only one.
It is.
Yeah, it's proper good.
I haven't got it because there's too many Capcom fighting game collections, and I'm done.
I played MEO. That's pretty good.
Cool.
And of course, there's obviously going to be a few that we haven't got round to, like the Rugrats game. I haven't played enough of to really comment on it.
Because who really remembers the Rugrats at this point in history anyway?
Honestly, I still associate them with Nickelodeon more than SpongeBob at this point. Like,
Of course you would. You're old.
I know I'm old. So we're gonna obviously, because of the situation at the minute and the way the news items have worked. This is going to be a very PlayStation-centric podcast today. So if you're bored of us talking about Xbox, this is the podcast for you. We often start this thing with what's the highest Metacritic score of the releases, and I think we shouldn't shy away from that now. So, Astro Bot, I've played it. Reese has played it. Elliot, have you played it?
I'm on World 4 at the minute.
You mean Galaxy 4?
Are you really going to be that much of a stickler?
I'm just checking. Did you mean like you've only just started the first Galaxy and you're on the 4th level from that, or are you?
No, I'm on the 4th Galaxy, obviously.
Okay.
It's not Cold World. It's not Cold World. Get it right.
I'm just trying
to mock my robot game.
Okay. I'm going to start then with Elliot. What do you think of Astro Bot?
It's fun.
You really like Reese?
I think it's one of the best games to come out in recent years. What it does.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best PlayStation 5 games since the launch of the console. I really like it. It's just pure fun. That's what I like about this game. You don't get a lot of games like this that are just pure fun. It's probably the most video game ever, really, because it's just kind of like context. What's that type idea? And it's very interesting to think this is made by one of the smaller PlayStation studios. There's like 65 people that worked on this game.
Yeah.
And it's very... just for the record, me and Reese both got the Platinum Trophy in this.
Yeah, I would highly recommend everyone go and try and Platinum it. Yeah, it's very good.
You get most of the trophies just by beating the game.
Yeah.
And the thing I found bizarre, though, is there's no trophy for getting all the robots.
Yeah, because me and you were discussing that, and you got the bonus ones from the previous games that carried over.
Yeah, I got the bonus ones from Astro's Playroom, so I have all 305 bots.
Whereas I've just got 301.
Oh no, technically you do get a trophy for getting all the bots, but I won't spoil exactly how that works. In fact, we're gonna have to be a bit cautious because we don't want to spoil too much of this game.
Which is interesting because the game itself is like between 10 and 15 hours long to Platinum it.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of cameos in there where I was, and there was a bunch which I didn't share on our group chat because I thought Elliot is going to lose his shit when that cameo shows up.
Let's be honest. Is anyone really going to care what cameos we review and whatnot? It's not fucking Marvel.
It is I'd say it is somewhere I was like...
Because I'll be honest, because I did not lose my shit on any of the cameos. My reaction was just, that's cool, and that's it.
What about the cameo from an RPG series that I know you like? There's two.
I saw Joker.
I meant the other one.
I saw Teddy.
No, I mean another franchise.
Dragon Quest?
No, it's owned by Sega.
I don't think he's gone to that.
Yakuza.
Yeah,
Yeah, I knew Kiryu was in there already.
Yeah, but what I found amazing is he's actually tied to the Platinum.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's you have to get his like thing from the gacha machine, and then you got to do a certain thing, and as a result, you get a trophy for it. It's very funny, but it's amazing. Some of them are a bit weird though. I found that's one of the weird ones. Some of them I thought, well, yeah, this is an important character, but I would never associate them with PlayStation. Like they're a third-party character, where I think PlayStation it plays a big role. It doesn't. I wouldn't say PlayStation plays a big role. Like there's another Sega franchise that shows up, and I thought, did this? I know this showed up on like PlayStation 2 or something, but I way more associate this with the Dreamcast than I do PlayStation.
Oh, it's a good thing that the Dreamcast doesn't exist anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's, the point I mean is this is about PlayStation history. It feels a bit weird them being there. It almost felt like we needed a spot, and Sega said that we could have it. Like there's a few of them where I was like, I had to look them up because they were that obscure. Like some of the, like
same.
But there's obviously some that I know that other people aren't gonna know. Like I'll know Rudy from Wild Arms, but you guys won't know as much because have you guys played Wild Arms?
Only a very little bit, but I recognize it from the description saying Wild Arms.
Yeah, that. And
but also some descriptions weren't very descriptive. I actually had to look up because like this tells me nothing.
Yeah, and there was somewhere I was like, "Wow, you've got to be a PlayStation nerd to get this reference." But some of them were pretty cool. Like I think they did a very good job spreading it across the entirety of PlayStation's history. Like there's a bit of PS1, there's a bit of PS2, even a bit of like PSP and Vita get in there somewhere. But control-wise, I mean, it controls beautifully. Like this is the best use of the DualSense controller in anything we've had so far.
Yeah,
and the level design is excellent. One of there's some good uses of like the environments and all that. I listened to a interview with the director, and he said that basically what they did was they just threw around a bunch of concepts and said and then would sort of like say if someone had a cool idea, would say, okay, let's give this a try, and then it would just be like, well, why not? I kind of like that idea of game development. It was just like, here's the thing though. How do you think this is? How do you think this is going to sell? Like, does this outsell Ratchet and Clank, for example, Rift Apart?
According to the early UK physical numbers, it's not. In the same time period.
I'm wondering how many digital sales it's getting though, because I think this is I think this is a game that's going to sell much better digitally than it is physically, considering some of the.
Actually, currently it's trending ahead of. The sales are trending ahead of Rift Apart.
Oh really?
Oh, really? But worldwide or UK?
UK, right?
Oh,
so obviously,
I
think word of mouth must have made things pick up a little bit because it's been out for like a week after we've recorded this. Do you got? I just say though, is there any complaints we have with the game?
The only complaint I can really think of is that all the haptic feedback on the controller is amazing, but it does drain the battery of your controller really fast.
Oh yeah, I had to charge mine a lot playing this.
Too many sounds go through the controller. It feels like everything I do, the sound just goes through the controller. Is really jarring, and it gets loud.
Yeah.
Like my controller wasn't, the volume on my controller wasn't even halfway, and it was like overwhelmingly loud.
And it's weird because none of that bothered me personally, but I can see how that would bother other people.
It's because you're Sony's bitch.
I'm not Sony's bitch.
You're just happy to see references. No wonder you're a fucking Marvel fan.
Sorry. Quick question on this one. Every time I say I really like a first-party game by any of the console manufacturers, I'm accused of being that company's bitch.
That's because you are.
Fuck's sake. I would say one of the things is it feels very short afterwards. I kind of was afterwards thinking, I want a bit more. After I got the platinum, I want more. And luckily there is DLC coming down the line.
But I think as it is, it's a great first game to get a new person into gaming.
Yeah.
It's not overly long. It's not very difficult. It's a visual showcase.
I've my cousin's kid. I've bought him a copy of this for his Christmas present. So he's gonna get into. So he's gonna have a chance to play that around the Christmas period. But what I found even funnier is he played a lot of Astro's Playroom. He really likes it, and he keeps saying it's my game. He keeps saying I made it, and I'm like, I didn't make this game.
Whenever I think of people saying, "Oh, I got this kid a game I really like, they're gonna love it," I always think of this one scene from PlayStation Access where Rob is talking very passionately about his history with Final Fantasy VII, and his daughter just goes, "Can I play Minecraft on the TV, please?"
Actually, that's a good segue now, actually, because the obvious one that people were talking about, and I found this out from some tweets before the game came out, there's no Final Fantasy rep in the game. That feels like a massive missing point. That feels like something they should go for with the DLC.
I mean, you'd have to contact Square, personally.
Surely Square would say, yeah, all right, because PlayStation's been very good to them with some of those exclusivity deals, like Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff aren't exactly exclusive now.
Yeah, especially these days.
Yeah, I'm actually staggered they haven't announced Final Fantasy 16 for Xbox yet. I thought they would have got it. Maybe Tokyo Game Show. That being said, you can't think of PlayStation's history without Final Fantasy playing a role in it. So I feel like that's
can.
So
my first console was the PS3. The game we had on that the game we had on that was Final Fantasy 13. I can very easily ignore Final Fantasy.
Whereas I'm PS1, so it's Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, and Final Fantasy 10 is. I remember that coming out on the PS2. That was huge.
Yep.
Your average millennials trying to grip onto your childhood as hard as you can to ignore your receding hairline.
How do you think Pokemon Go got successful? There's
Oh, please, my generation helped with that.
So who do you? Who is the Christian? It's got 94 on Metacritic. Do you think that's justified score?
Yeah.
See, I'm surprised at that one from Elliot because it doesn't sound like you're as enthusiastic about this game as me and Reese are.
I'm enjoying it, as I said.
Yeah, it's a really good platformer. I agree.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry for not acting like a kid on a sugar rush, jumping all over the walls.
Because that's what it's been every time I've been playing this game. I've been that kid on a sugar rush because it's
again, you're Sony's bitch obsessed with nostalgia.
It's not just been that. It's been the level design is impeccable in this game.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites, I think, was the one with the day-night cycle. That was, I just thought, how much planning went into that level.
I don't think I got to that one yet.
You haven't got to that one. It's in Galaxy 5. But I won't.
And you were going on about not spoiling the cameos.
I've just said it's a day-night cycle. I won't spoil how the day-night cycle affects the level, but the way it works is, I thought this is unbelievably amazing game design, and because the levels were so good, I didn't mind going back if I missed like the puzzle pieces or.
I do like that the levels to get like the pieces you need for your ship are you play as like Sony characters. Like you play as Spike, Kratos. I'm happy you play as Drake instead of someone from Last of Us.
Yeah, I'm glad that Uncharted.
They are a lot of fun. They really change your gameplay quite a bit.
Yeah, because like I wait until you get to the one that end of Galaxy 4, Ellie. I won't spoil what franchise it is, but it's actually one of the ones where I was like, wow, I'm amazed you managed to make this work in this format.
Yeah.
But I will say the other thing is though. One of the things I did like was the fact I rarely had to ever use a guide with this one because you could just do that thing where you start the level again, you pay 200 coins for that bird, and it would help you find the missing collectibles.
Yeah.
that you were doing. They were doing. That's how I was rarely ever having to look up on YouTube what's the bird on about. I can't tell what he means here.
Yeah.
But there's so. I also do like the fact the really difficult levels of the obstacle course were based on the X, square, triangle, and circle buttons.
Don't you mean the cross, Cal? Not the X.
They can say that all they want. It's the X button. I'm standing by that.
Aren't you very cross now?
Yeah, I cannot believe they said it was the cross button. It's the X button. It's been the X button for ages.
I mean, in all fairness, when you look at it, you can't exactly have three shapes and then the letter, which is kind of why I understand why I picked cross.
Okay, fine.
Everyone calls it XO.
Yeah, I know. I actually didn't notice that they nailed it cross until very late into the thing. I was like, what? Yeah. Why do they call it cross? Stop! Don't answer this debate in the way that means that I'm wrong.
I mean, a lot of companies are like that. I remember hearing a while ago that apparently Google does, when you're working in Google, you're not allowed, or in the Google offices, you're not allowed to refer it as Googling. You have to refer to Google search.
Oh God, I would get sacked so fast.
Because apparently Google is more than just the search bar.
What I'd love it is if I remember there's one of the few good jokes I heard from Brad Jones on Channel Awesome before we found out what they were like. Was wouldn't it have been funnier in that Google movie if everyone was Google was using Bing as a search engine? So I found it.
I think we've been on this for 20 minutes. I think we have to move on.
Yeah, I was going to say we really like this game. I would say
we highly recommend it.
It's fun.
And I think it's one of the 3 locks for Game of the Year at the Game Awards now. My predictions, I'm saying it's a lock.
Yeah, it's definitely on for Best Family Game at least.
No. The 3 games that are a lock right now for Game of the Year are Astro Bot, Animal Well, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, no, actually, I will say the one where I'm not... Actually, I wouldn't say it's a lock, but I think it's highly likely is Animal Well, because I think Lucky Squire could overtake it if it gets very high. So shall we move on then to Elliot's first game, which was another one that really took the internet by storm and got a massive purchasing. And we're going to have to sort of merge it into a news item, sort of, while we're talking about it. Black Myth Wukong. Now, I haven't got around to buying it yet because the file size is huge.
Yeah, it's a big file size. It's a big game.
104 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Let me double check now. How much what was the Metacritic score for
currently is 81.
81.
Oh, I thought it was higher.
No, and for fans it's 7.9.
Oh. Right, now I know for a fact you feel a little salty about this game.
Yeah.
So, before we go into that, let's talk about some of the good points. What did you really like about Wukong?
There are some things I do enjoy about it. First of all, I just love the idea. Like the journey to the West Souls, I think that's great. And because of that, they do a lot of ways to make the world incredibly imaginative. Like there's very few humans in it. All the enemies and everyone you interact with are some form of a animal, humanoid animal, or the like of that, which I think is really cool. I think staff combat is a lot of fun. I enjoy the combos you're able to pull off with that. A lot of the spells you get are really awesome. Like there's one to stop an enemy in time for a few seconds. Sort of a cloud step, which lets you lets you go invisible, leave like a mirage of your body. One of my personal favorite is a Ring of Fire, which increases, I know, Johnny Cash, which increases your stamina, increases your healing. If you do enough upgrades, you can do things like increase the amount of damage you can do. The enemies are great. I think a lot of this game is good. I would put it in the 7s personally.
Okay. Before we go into the stuff you're salty about, can I ask, because I wanted to know this myself, if you were comparing it to another, like in terms of like similarities in the combat, which soul is any of the FromSoft Souls like you would say is like, or is it like any of the other like clones that have tried to do the FromSoft style?
I don't know really. Maybe Sekiro.
I was looking at it and thinking this feels a bit Sekiro.
So the difference is with Sekiro, obviously parrying and blocking is the main mechanic. In this game, it's dodging. You have like no block or parry button at all.
So it's, which fits Wukong's character. But
yeah.
So you say it's a bit like
Actually, you're not playing as Wukong himself. You're playing sort of as a disciple of him. Like I think the theory about it is I don't know, Wukong is dead or something. I don't know, and you're basically going to collect his material, his relics or something like that from different people.
That's interesting because I don't think the trailers made it very clear that you weren't actually playing as Wukong.
Yeah, I think you were just playing as a depowered Wukong.
No, you are one of his disciples. Like you hear Wukong, like a good example is you hear Wukong speaking at the beginning of the game. Meanwhile, the character you're playing is mute.
That's interesting. So, what's leaving you salty about this game?
This game is not perfect. There are a ton of flaws with it. One big issue I have, which I don't think a lot of other people have, is the skill tree and upgrade system. And it's actually kind of the opposite to Flintlock. Because with Flintlock, you didn't really have that many options. In this game, you have too many.
Right.
Like you're able to upgrade like your foundation, so like your stats and whatnot. You're able to like unlock new attacks with your staff, upgrade your spells and everything like that. And there are upgrades upon upgrades. You can there are further stages into each certain upgrades, and there's so many. And it's not like Souls-likes where you can like ignore some to like try for the particular build you're going with. Everyone feels in some way essential. And even if I just focus on, at the level I'm at, if I just focus on one of those skill trees, like I just want to focus on the foundations one, I will probably have like just over half of the upgrades. And I'm like level 73.
Wow. Okay. Can I...
Like it's... And like the way you get skill points is which you need to unlock the skills. It's literally only done by leveling and by meditating in certain spots, which there aren't that many spots where you can meditate.
Yeah,
it's basically the perfect use of that one term from Lord of the Rings. It's like butter being spread over too much bread.
Yeah. Right. I'm getting a bit... Do you know what's amazing? I'm getting really sick of multipath skill trees in gaming. I feel like they're just put on to add extra time artificially half the time. They never feel like they're organic in what you do. You don't get stuff like... The last one I think I remember really proper liking was God of War Ragnarok.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it with a lot of games if they if it's obvious that if the skill tree, each branch of the skill tree is so different that you could just focus on certain ones and like build up from them. Or if you want to unlock everything, you have to really grind for that. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I think something like, I don't know, say the job classes from the Yakuza games, something like that.
Yes, that's a good example of how you do it. Or, I mean, one I didn't really like because I felt it really just artificially lengthened the game, and I'll see if Reese agrees with me on this one. Horizon Forbidden West.
I don't think it lengthened the game that much because the skill tree wasn't as important in that game.
But I also never noticed much of the benefits from upgrading that skill tree. I felt like it never felt like Aloy's moveset changed all that much.
Yeah, that's why I said it wasn't important. Most people can just ignore it because it doesn't benefit the character enough.
Going back to Wukong, because I don't want to get too off topic.
One thing that I'm a bit mixed on is how you get new staffs and armor. Basically, you don't like find new armor or like new weapons. You get the ability to craft them as you go on through the game. Like you don't have to find any blueprints or anything like that. You just get to a certain point and then bam, you're able to craft them, which I don't mind. because it means you're able to just, craft. It means you don't really have to go out of your way to look for the strongest thing to craft. However, at the same time, it means if I'm like using a weak weapon, if I think my weapon isn't doing that much damage because a lot of the bosses have an insane amount of health, I can't try and find or upgrade a new staff or upgrade them because I would like to have the most powerful staff I could get at that point. And same with the armor. Like I can't go out of my way to try and find a stronger set of armor because I'll likely have the strongest armor at that point.
So our bosses just damage sponges then?
Kind of, yeah. It's a similar problem that Liza P has.
Oh yeah,
because Liza P, the bosses in Liza P had a ludicrous amount of health.
I remember that being an issue.
I don't think this game has it to quite the same degree, but it is still quite bad in my opinion.
And there was one boss in particular that made you really just quit this game.
Yeah, there's some bosses that really exemplify just the flaws of this game. There's one in particular that I'm not going to say what it is, but the hitboxes for a lot of these bosses are absolute bullshit. Like in standard Souls likes, the idea is if your weapon can reach the bot as part of the boss, you can hit them from there. Like the entirety of the boss is the hitboxes, which I obviously really like. You're going up against powerful foes, therefore, bam, you want to hit them from the toes? There, hit them from the toes. In this game, the bosses, they want you to hit the bosses from a very specific place. One of the bosses in particular that made me really want to give up is the centipede boss. It basically is a centipede quailag. Centipede body, centipede and human centaur, basically. And the game only wants you to hit the legs. The problem is there are giant gaps in between the legs, so a lot of my hits will go completely not hitting it. Made even worse by the fact that there's a giant gap in front of him. So if I aim forwards and try to hit there, I'm not going to be hitting him, which is annoying because I can only lock onto the human part of the body. Why make me lock onto a part I don't like? It's basically Bale the Dread, but worse.
Can I, okay, in terms of like, because one of the things I liked about Elden Ring was the fact you could go off and do another boss if you were struggling with one in particular. In terms of like, if we're losing the scale of Bloodborne is the most linear of the FromSoft games, and Elden Ring is the most open, where would you say Wukong fits on the scale? Is it more, which end? Is it very linear or is it very open?
I'd say, if I had to compare it to any, probably Dark Souls 3.
Right.
It's pretty linear, but there are like branching paths for you to like find extra bosses and whatnot. But the problem is because like you can't really upgrade stats. You can only you can upgrade stats, but the amount they upgrade by is so minimal. Like I upgraded my health to full to the max it could be, and it basically went from like that to that. Not a lot.
So it's very diminishing returns.
Yeah, and like which can work in Sekiro, but Sekiro is very skill based anyway. Meanwhile, Wukong, I feel like kind of would benefit more from having like a similar upgrade system to other Souls likes.
Now, initially, it did very well in terms of sales and in terms of word of mouth. It's particularly on Steam. Steam seemed to be where this thing, which is ironic considering this only console it's on is PlayStation 5.
I think there's another problem as well. I've been playing on PC, and I think there are more problems on the PC version than there is on the console version. Like, there's one problem I've heard a lot of people complain about, which is like your rolls randomly getting kind of sluggish, which is something I experienced with a particular boss, I thought. And the thing is, I don't know why. Like, I could understand because like I would get hit and not get sluggish, but I would dodge the attack and not get sluggish. get sluggish, or I would dodge the attack, and my rolls will get sluggish. There's nothing on the ground indicating. There's no status ailments or anything like that. Just randomly, my rolls will start getting incredibly sluggish. I have no idea why.
That's interesting. So,
and the game's also quite. Sorry to interrupt. Cutscenes are a bit jittery, like more accurate, like they sort of lag and stutter a lot. Doesn't happen too often in gameplay, luckily. It does happen occasionally, mostly when booting up, when first starting the game, but aside from that, it's mostly alright.
Do you think this is another example, though, where the PC version was not as well optimized as the PlayStation version might have been?
I don't know, really, because I haven't played the PlayStation version, and I haven't really seen much gameplay for it.
Okay, well, and obviously, it hasn't come to Xbox yet.
Not yet.
Which, and there's been a bit of a weird conversation around that, because we initially were hearing that it was because they were having trouble getting the Series S version to work. Then people like Eurogamer were reporting, no, it's not, because it has they have an exclusivity deal with Sony, but we've never seen a PlayStation Studios logo put on this thing, which even or PlayStation...
At the same time, though, it's Eurogamer.
Yeah, exactly. And Jeff Grubb...
I think Eurogamer is just a step above Kotaku.
Yeah, but a couple of other outlets suggested they had a couple of outlets kind of suggested they thought there might be an exclusivity deal. Jeff Grubb incidentally said there wasn't one, as far as he can tell.
If there is one, it will be a temporary one. Hence why there's no PlayStation logo or anything like that.
Yeah, but there's no PlayStation marketing for this either. It's not the marketing has never been for the PlayStation version. In particular.
It could have been a last minute thing.
Could have been, or it could have been a different kind of deal. Like they got some PlayStation engineers to come in and do this. I'm basing this on what Mystic Ryan said in his recent podcast. But another thing I did find out, though, is that Xbox did comment on this, although they didn't give much of an answer. They just basically said, we don't like to talk about the deals our partners are making right now, which sent people into overdrive, suggesting there might be a deal with PlayStation right now. But so we say, speculation-wise, do we think PlayStation has a deal and they haven't done a very good job advertising it, or Xbox, or they're having trouble getting the Xbox version to work?
I'm leaning more towards just them having problems with the Xbox version.
Yeah.
I feel like we would have gotten more news about being an exclusivity deal much earlier if that was the case. I feel like some of these journalists are just speculating at this point.
Yeah, and I think Jeff Grubb had the most concrete argument for Wukong not having that deal.
Yeah.
And it would sort of stand in line with previous things. Like, we knew the reason Baldur's Gate took so long to come to Xbox was because they were having trouble getting the offline co-op to work on Series S. So, what are you... So...
that's actually, just remembered another problem. There's so many invisible walls in this game. Like, my God, there's so many moments where you think, oh, there's a bit over there. I could go explore it. Nope. Invisible wall.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem with the next game that I'm going to be talking about as well. So remind me of that
one. There's so goddamn many of them. It's... And also, I'm just going to end off by explaining one of the weirdest glitches I've ever seen, which was in this game, where I was fighting a boss, and all of a sudden, could not move. My controller was on, nothing was working. I tried moving the mouse, nothing worked. And then I was just like, okay, I'll just wait for the boss to kill me. Boss, health reached 0, did not die.
What?
Honest to God, I did not die. Like, it was just, the boss was just hitting me over and over. I didn't die. It wasn't until he did a grapple attack that he got me. Actually, that's another problem with all the bosses. They all have grapple attacks. Which I hate, or grab attacks rather, which I hate just in general, because it interrupts the flow of the fight. And believe it or not, game developers, I do not want to see a 5-second cutscene of my ass getting pummeled. But the ones in this game are especially awful because there's never any kind of build up to them. They just happen immediately. And also, if your health isn't practically full, you're dead.
So they are
like you get hit, like they deal like a lot of them will take away like 90% of your health. The least a grapple attack had taken away was like 2/3.
It's not like Mesmer where it's going to take like at least half or 3/4 of your health.
I would say I mean the main thought I was going for was Melania, which her grab attack goes quickly, but at least you get like half a second.
Yeah.
To prepare to dodge it. I don't get that with any of these, and with Melania, she does a lot of damage, but I mean, she's an end level boss. I kind of expected to do a lot of damage rather than bloody tiger dude from like chapter 1.
So yeah, like Melania, for example, as well. There's been a bunch of moments with that one where she has got me with the grab attack, but I've like, if I'd reacted like 1 second earlier, I might have been able...
exactly. If it still gets to the point where it feels like, it's your fault. It's your fault rather than the game's. Meanwhile, with this one, it just feels like that came out bloody nowhere.
So I'm going to move. I think, can you recommend Wukong? Yes or no?
I think it's good. I do think it's good. I just feel like it definitely needs more polish, and there's just certain gameplay choices I personally don't like. If you ask me, favorite non-software Souls like still easily Lies of P.
Yeah, I'd still say if you're going to do a non-FromSoft Souls like, it's either got to be Lies of P or Code Vein.
Yeah, I lead to more towards Code Vein, not Code Vein, Lies of P personally.
I agree. Actually, I agree. I think I lean more towards Lies of P because I think it's just a very well crafted world and game.
Yeah, looking forward to the sequel. Can't wait.
Yeah, no, the fact that they've already said that they're considering that is amazing.
I mean, apparently they're making DLC for it as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'll get it.
It's just going to be titled Code Vania.
Yeah, what would be funny is if they just did randomly splicing other fairy tales into Lies of P. I don't know, you near the final boss you enter a portal and it takes you to Wonderland or something like that. I think that would be cool.
Or even weirder if they want to really throw people off, Winnie the Pooh.
Well, he is on the public domain.
Public domain, you can do it. Or they can do Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
You can go to the Blood and Honey universe.
So let's discuss your game, your big release, Reese, which was Star Wars Outlaws, Ubisoft Star Wars game.
Yep.
Me and Elliot both avoided this like the plague because we thought it didn't look very good.
It was one of the most anticipated games of last year, according to the Game Awards.
Yep.
So, Reese,
seriously, again, you put that on there, but no, Persona 3 Reloaded. What the hell's wrong with you?
So, Reese, how good was this game, or how bad was this?
It was painfully average.
So the Flintlock issue.
I have never played a game more deserving of just a 5 out of 10.
Again, same with me with Flintlock. Holy goddamn.
So, some people said that they thought the planets the sequence of going into the planets was what Starfield should have been, because it's a lot more organic with the whole thing. But again, they're not loading randomly generated environments or certain other big environments. Do you think that's a fair thing to say?
Sure, but at the end of the day, it is still a loading screen, though. Because you basically just go from outer atmosphere, then through a ton of clouds, and then you're instantly at the spaceport. So it's not that organic.
That's actually what Destiny does.
Yeah, so you still know it's a loading screen. You've got no control over it during that time.
Do you... Okay, in terms of the main focus of this game, you saw playing Bounty Hunter, I believe it was?
Yeah, so you're playing as Kay Vess, who's a new female smuggler / slicer who tries to work her way through the criminal underworlds across the galaxy to basically survive, because the story's set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So Jabba's still alive at this point.
Oh, God, I think I know what the whole thing around one of the missions in this is going to be.
It's not what you're thinking. There's no slave bikini armor.
No, I'm all for. Is this going to be like we're leading up to? This is Boba Fett hands over Han's body to give to Jabba. Is that involved in the game?
No, at least not to the point I've got to yet. Boba Fett is in the game, but it's like a small cameo.
Ah, okay. So is that
like, in all fairness, that is to be expected in Star Wars, unfortunately. Like, I've heard that Vader makes a funny little cameo.
Yeah, for literally less than a minute.
Just because, recognize that.
What a waste.
It's the exact thing called the member berries, where you think, oh, I recognize that, therefore this is good.
Yeah.
It's, what a waste of the late James Earl Jones.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure he even voiced it at this point, because James Earl Jones doesn't do the voice of Vader and everything.
No, he doesn't. They have got a few.
Something that I didn't want to. I thought of when I heard the passing of James Earl Jones, which I didn't want to say because I thought it'd be a bit disrespectful. Was oh god, the last thing he was in was fucking Mufasa.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if he's voicing Mufasa in the reboot.
Yeah, because
prequel film.
It's a prequel. I think it is young, but I think he has a couple of lines in it. I mean, that film does look terrible. But
yeah, because otherwise, the only other thing I think he did recently was that Coming to America sequel.
And he was in.
It's Aaron Pierre who's playing Mufasa. Never mind. Ignore me.
Rogue One. I mean, you hear him in, and again, you heard him in when he was in Rogue One, and it was kind of like his voice is starting to lose its timbre, so he didn't quite sound right as Vader anymore.
Well, the thing was with it that he was in his late 80s doing Rogue One. They actually had to use AI to help his voice.
Exactly.
So it was James Earl Jones that pretty much started the whole AI voice actor craze, really, because he had to sign his rights over to Disney, give his voice to them.
Which means we could end up seeing some more AI James Earl Jones down the line.
And now other deceased actors coming back and revoicing their roles.
But on the plus side, because of I believe one of the deals that has been made now is that actors have to be credited if they're used posthumously.
Yeah.
This way. So I know there is currently a lawsuit going on with Peter Cushing's estate and Disney.
Right, it's not his estate. It's Peter Cushing's old friends, who apparently he had a deal with Peter Cushing saying that. Even if my estate says yes, I still want you to say no.
Right. I think Disney's going to win that one, to be honest.
Yeah, especially because Rogue One's 8 years old, so why was this not brought sooner?
There's one issue. Yeah. The arguments they're probably going to make are they should have been brought sooner. Yeah. And even if Mr. Cushing said that, he did not put it down in writing that you're supposed to do it. If they haven't got any sort of deal on that front, and even then, I think it'd be very dubiously binding. I know from experience, when someone dies, the next of kin really just pretty much gain all those rights. Yeah. And it's very surprising how it can often work. But going back to Rogue One, so the Star Wars stuff is a lot of cameo. Like the really recognizable characters are basically used for cameos.
Yeah.
What's the gameplay like?
Let me guess. Generic Ubisoft open world?
You've got it in one, Elliot.
Hey!
So what's the...
I win a free sub.
What's their version of the Assassin's Creed towers?
There are no towers. You just have to physically go to those locations to uncover the map.
Oh, that's even worse.
Really?
That's even worse.
Work with them?
Yeah. You have to go around, then you stumble upon the random NPCs in that location to give you side quests. Across each planet, there's like a huge open world zone to go through. You can't fast travel through any of it. Only certain spaceports are either side of the map.
Are you kidding me?
It's so slow.
Oh my god!
Do you at least get good
the game frankly starts you with a speeder bike, but even then it's so slow.
Oh my god!
Because I'm just going there driving like bored, boring.
That clip from Top Gear said bored.
Yep.
But hate James, hate Ubisoft, hate Ubisoft. And then someone said, "How far are we from Tatooine?" So obviously, the only planet I really recognised when we were seeing the previews was Tatooine. Is there any other famous Star Wars planets that get used?
Well, there's also Kijimi from, unfortunately, the sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah,
which I'm sure you two will have forgotten.
Yeah, I forgot that one completely until
you.
So, do you guys remember in a Rise of Skywalker?
No, Rise of Skywalker.
Yep. When they go to that planet and they meet Poe's Spice Runner friend, the girl with the giant Daft Punk helmet.
But there's nothing on that planet. You can't tell anything because it's raining constantly.
And it's dark. It's constantly
nighttime. That's the water one, is it?
No, that's Keith Bear, where the Death Star lands it up somehow, which is a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah.
But no,
is that the other desert planet?
No, that's the other one. This was the planet they were trying to get C-3PO to read Sith text on.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah, I know the one you're on about.
That's the planet of Kijimi with Babu Frick, the mechanic.
Yeah. How obvious is it that I purged that film from my memory?
Yeah, which is what 90% of the fan base has done as well, Elliot.
Yeah. I regret my review of Rise of Skywalker years later.
Why? How bad was it?
I was way too forgiving to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I remember when it first came out, Ren was saying, "Oh, if you like Last Jedi," which I will admit I don't mind Last Jedi. I think it's all right. And he said, "Oh, if you like Last Jedi, you'll like Rise of Skywalker." The fuck were you on, mate?
Yeah,
it was terrible.
I'm someone who did. I'm quite weird. I did like Last Jedi, but I'm not a huge fan of Rise of Skywalker.
Whereas I'm the opposite. I detest Last Jedi, and I still hate Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. There's some things with. I like Rey and Kylo's stuff in Last Jedi.
Yeah,
but I felt like Rise of Skywalker just ruined that.
But the thing that Outlaws, I think something I like about Outlaws when it was in the concept was it did sort of get away from something that I think Star Wars has really gone way too far with since Disney's got it, which is the Jedi are not the only important thing in the Star Wars universe. Because if you look at the titles of those sequel films, it's The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise of the Skywalker. They're all to do with Jedi. And all the recent spin-off series to do with Jedi, and all the games are to do with Jedi. And I know the Jedi are a big part of Star Wars, but there was other aspects to that universe and to that series. So
because people forget during the Old Republic and the Republic days for the Clone Wars, at the height of their power, the Jedi only had 10,000 members in their order, spread across the entire galaxy.
The only thing I can really think of that doesn't focus so much on Jedi that came out recently is Rogue One, maybe. Mandalorian.
And there was that one, Andor. That one didn't focus much on Jedi.
Yeah, Andor the most. The Mandalorian does go back to the Jedi in season 2 onwards.
Okay, so Rogue One then maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty much Rogue One and Andor.
Yeah. That was the thing about the Mandalorian. I was like, no, why are we going back to the Jedi? But this was proving that you could make a really
I mean, compare that to the original extended universe stuff. A lot of the stuff in that did focus on like Luke, but that was just sort of the continuation after Return of the Jedi, and it was all building up, having him build up a new Jedi Order from what I could guess.
And that's right. But also the thing with the old expanded universe, Luke's Jedi Order was very separate from the New Republic that we saw. But it was like very detached off doing his own thing. Only occasionally would he come back to the New Republic to help out his sister and family.
But have you noticed something here? We're not discussing Star Wars Outlaws. That's the whole thing. We've gone into...
That's because Reese's the only person who's played it and he doesn't want to talk about it.
And that's the point. He doesn't want to talk about this game. Like, what is happening?
So it's the main thing about Star Wars Outlaws, you're not playing as an outlaw. You can't do anything that's illegal. Like, you can go to a populated town square with all civilians walking around. You can just toss a thermal detonator in, blow it up. No one gets hurt. No wanted level. The majority of your missions is basically fetch quests.
Yeah, but the thing is, they made out in the trailers that you're going to want to avoid certain planets if you're more wanted there than if you're on another planet. But
I guess there is no wanted system.
There is a wanted system, but unlike GTA where it keeps ramping up, you get to a certain threshold, and then the Empire sends like the Death Troopers from Rogue One after you. But they're easy to kill, and then killing them wipes your wanted level anyway. So it's like, what's the point?
Compare that to GTA, where killing the cops will raise it.
Wouldn't that basically be like that'd be the equivalent right now of the police saying, "Well, he shot a load of us up, therefore we're not going after him." Who cares
much,
if he's a danger to the public?
Yeah, so there's also the reputation with the syndicates as well. Because, right, the stuff in this game is broken. It just doesn't work right. So if you're in a syndicate base, well, there's the 4 main syndicates. Pikes, Crimson Dawn from Solo. They brought the Crimson Dawn back.
Why?
Yeah, so pretty much no one remembers Solo. And
I never even saw it.
I do remember Solo. I actually quite like Solo, weirdly.
Then the third faction is the Hutts, and then the fourth one is a new faction for this game, or at least it's not one that I know unless it's from the new Disney comics I've not read.
Or is this gonna does this lead into the whole thing of the Darth Maul cameo at the end of Solo that went absolutely fucking nowhere?
Nope, that's been forgotten.
Yeah, especially considering that I watched it at the time saying, well, what's he going to do? Because we know what happens to Darth Maul. We see his entire arc in Star Wars Rebels, which, by the way, is really fucking good.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, Darth Maul is one of the best parts of that series.
Was Rebels pre or post Disney?
Post Disney.
Post Disney, but pre Force Awakens.
So it is still kind of in the the original Star Wars canon then.
It was bridging that they didn't really know what the canon was going to be, so they sort of so as a result, it's kind of a bridge between the two canons.
Okay.
So it starts off they're going on the basis of it's the old canon in the first season, and afterwards when they realize it's not going to be, they have to kind of shift it to be more in line with the new canon, and hence why they didn't get most of the Star Wars actors to come back. Also, Leia is too old in that series compared to what the age of Luke is in the series. Yep. Like Luke's still a little boy, and she's like a teenager.
I think we need to move on. I think we said all we really want to.
Yeah. Right. So I'll just circle back to it with the reputation. So basically, you have to stealth around most of their bases for the majority of the game doing fetch quests. If you get detected, you get thrown out, and your reputation then goes down. And it's so difficult to get back up with their reputation because you just keep getting thrown out because the stealth is just broken at this point. I would not recommend this.
Before we move on,
it gets to the point where it drops so far below, they send death squads after you, and it's just the wanted system for the Empire again, where you just kill enough of them, you can wipe it.
So before we move on to the next game, I got to ask because there was a lot going around about the graphics options. And the fact that there was a lot of glitches. Did you experience any of the glitches, and what do you think about the graphics on it?
Yeah, I got so many glitches. I've had about 10 side quests softlock that cannot be continued until the patch comes out. But last night a patch did come out. Apparently they said they fixed a lot of softlocks for quests and that, but I've not gone back to them yet. But it's just so bad. The only main weapon you have is a blaster. That just overheats quickly. Because you can pick up heavy weapons like the Imperial E11 blaster, but Vess immediately drops it when she goes up a ladder or climbs anything. She refuses to just hold it. So the majority of your time you'll just be using your blaster. That just doesn't feel good to use.
How many crashes has it crashed at all?
3 crashes so far. So not like some other bad games I've had, but the soft locks have been the main issue.
The soft locks, that's unforgivable.
Yeah, because it got so bad. Other people I've seen online, the main story mode for them had soft locks in multiple places.
Yeah, I'd like to know
the game.
I'd like to know. There's only really one game I've experienced that's soft locked like as many times as Outlaws has. Do you want to know what game was?
Which one?
Golem.
Wow.
If a game that game is absolutely horrid, and the softlocks are a big problem with that. If Ubisoft is having that many softlocks, Jesus Christ, they are fucked up.
Have they said which Ubisoft studio it is that makes this? Because I know it's made in the only thing I know is it's made in the Snowdrop engine.
I think it might be the Montreal one. I think
it's Ubisoft Montreal.
1 sec, I'll check now.
Also, what's its Metacritic score at this point while I'm at
it? I've got it up. 76 for critics, 5.5 for fans.
Yeah, wow. The 5.5 is more accurate.
It was developed by Massive Entertainment.
Yeah, they're a division of Ubisoft.
Yeah, they're
Entertainment, Massive Entertainment,
they're a division of Ubisoft in Sweden.
Sweden.
I don't. I think though, I'm going to be honest. I was waiting for Reese to tell me this game's actually quite good in parts and it's worth a little bit.
No.
I sort of got subtle signs that it wasn't good.
No, I was sort of thinking this is going to be the one time. This might be the one time where I think this game didn't look good when I saw the trailers for it, or this game looked average when I saw. And then Reese would tell me, actually, it's all right in certain parts, but you wouldn't want to go nuts on it.
Yeah, the only good part of this game is the animal companion Nyx, because he's adorable. That's the only good thing in the game.
And of course, we should stress you were playing the PlayStation 5 version.
Yes, on more powerful hardware than a lot of PC players were playing on.
I mean, obviously the cute companion is in the defense because Jedi Fallen Order had another cute companion, and that game was actually good.
I'm staggered. It's got
BD1 was the Jedi Survivor companion.
I am staggered. This got 86 on Metacritic. This does not feel
76.
76. 76. No, 76 is absolutely right. It cannot.
No, that's still too high.
Yeah, so from the sounds of it.
It literally needs to be in the 5 range until more patches are pushed through.
They need.
For fans, it is currently 5.5.
That's more accurate. So
because it's got to the point where I'm finishing my Astro Bot review. I've done my Gundam one. I'm just so apathetic to do my Star Wars Outlaw review because it's just like headline 5 out of 10. You can skip this.
How if they fix all the soft locks and if they fix all the glitches, how much do you think the score will go up for you?
Probably like a 6.5 at most.
Yeah, okay. So still not that great.
No, it's just a game that's inundated with pointless side quests, pointless collectibles. Another good point of the game would be you have to play a version of Sabak in it, which is their version of Blackjack. And that's kind of fun. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. So good to know. Only good thing in Star Wars, gambling.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right. So I'm looking at the Metacritic scores for most of the next games. We're going to start with Elliot's next one. Space Marine. Space Marine
Warhammer
2.
Space Marine 2.
Which I think it has a higher Metacritic score than either mine or Reese.
Looking at it, it has 83 for critics, 7.9 for fans.
Mm.
Hang on a second, let me check my one. Yeah, way higher than my one. Annoyingly, because I actually think my game's pretty good. But we'll start on your one, Elliot. So you played Space Marine 2.
I really like it.
I
think it's really good. They actually, I wasn't sure how they what they would do continuing the story from the first Space Marine game. They actually continue it pretty well. So is
it a direct sequel then?
Not direct. It does still follow Captain Titus, but while the first game was you were fighting the orcs, in this game you're fighting the Tyranids, which is a bunch of insectile alien creatures that, strangely enough, kind of look a bit like dinosaur xenomorphs at times. Like if xenomorphs and velociraptors had a baby.
Okay,
with guns. They're all of them.
I don't really know much about Space Marines Warhammer, the Warhammer Space Marines. I'm not a big person into it. In that basis, is this a good thing for newcomers?
Not if you haven't played the first Space Marine, I would say.
So you should play the first one and then go into this one.
At the very least, so you know what happened to Titus at the beginning.
Okay, I see.
Because there are a lot of sort of references to mostly the ending of that one.
And go ahead.
So the main story of it is Titus had been sort of in the last game had been demoted from being a Lieutenant Ultramarine to being a member of the Death Watch, which he had spent the last 100 years as a part of. You actually spend the first part of the game as him in the Death Watch. However, then he's the Empire sort of thinks, yeah, okay, you spent enough time here. You could be an Ultramarine again and help us with the Tyranid onslaught. There's a lot of references to Chaos, which was sort of one of the antagonists in the first game, which again has kind of been the same, which is the same happening here. Yeah, the stories are your standard Space Marine Warhammer story. Lots of blood, lots of battles, lots of suspected heresy.
Okay, so usual sort of stuff.
Have you played any of it, Calvin? I think you said you played a bit of it.
I played a little bit of it. It didn't grab me. I'll be honest.
I think it's a lot of fun, personally. I think it's it does feel a lot like one of a 360 game brought up to the modern day, in my opinion.
Yeah, the way you said chaos there, though, really reminded me of Stranger of Paradise for some weird reason.
Chaos. No.
The two I had in my head was that and Shadow the Hedgehog going, Chaos Control!
Yeah, chaos is basically just demons.
We're I just realized we're really a few months away from Keanu Reeves saying that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you want me to start with? What do you want me to start with?
Well, I'm gonna keep this one. The next three I'm gonna keep a little bit shorter because we've got three more times to get through. So I'll just say, do you think this improves on the first? How do you think this improves on the first one? Because I haven't played the first one.
It's kind of difficult to say because in both you're fighting pretty different. Well, I think obviously a majority of the game is just about combat. There's like not that many. There's like no puzzles. There's not that many not really any collectibles, and they're like audio logs, but that's about it. Not really considered much of a collectible. It's mostly fighting off the Tyranids, and literally the best way I can describe it is swarms. Yeah. You fight every fight. You are fighting dozens of Tyranids. It's okay because a majority of them die super easily, but you are in every battle. You are literally getting swarmed by a ton of these insectile enemies, and I love it.
Yeah, after being killed so many times on Helldivers 2, I appreciate the fact that I was actually able to kill these things pretty quickly.
Yeah, they are really easy to kill, but it's also very easy for you to get overwhelmed. You have obviously have a series of melee and you have a melee weapon. You have a bunch of ranged weapons, a rifle and a pistol. Just basically go wild on these guys.
So it's a bit similar in design to Left 4 Dead then.
Kind of, but definitely sort of not. But with Left 4 Dead, there are a lot more sort of quieter moments when it comes to the combat. In this game, there really aren't.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Left 4 Dead, you can go like 2 minutes without something happening. This one, no, you're not getting any.
I mean, there are like sort of stretches when you're like wandering to the next area, but it does not take a long time for the next combat stage to happen.
It also doesn't feel like it has as much of an enemy variety as, say, Left 4 Dead 2 had.
Yeah, there are a lot of repeats when it comes to enemies, which is, personally, I don't mind.
Which was one of my big problems
especially when the Legions of Chaos come in. Because once Legions of Chaos come in, you're basically fighting other Ultramarines at that point.
Which was one of my problems with Back 4 Blood. Back 4 Blood, if anything, I think it had the opposite problem. It had too much variety because it meant that you had, for example, like, on Left 4 Dead, the special zombies would always be like a big highlight. Like, oh my god, there's a jockey, or oh my god, there's a tank. There was like a moment of that, or like every encounter.
So
none of them felt special.
Meanwhile, with Back 4 Blood, that because there are too many, a lot of them don't become recognizable, so you can't really prepare for them as easily.
Exactly, and you're numb to them and also they go down too easily, so you're numb to them. It's not like, oh my god, there's a jockey, we better strategize here. It's there's another one of those ones. Right, done.
Yeah.
But I think Space Marine 2 is better than that in that one. I'd say it's a much better game than Back 4 Blood.
One problem I do have with it, and this is mostly me comparing to the first game, you aren't able to carry as many guns. Like in the first game, you were able to carry 4 guns. Like you had a rifle, you had like an automatic rifle, you had a pistol, you had a sniper rifle, and you have like, I don't know, shotgun-ish weapon. In this, you can only carry like a pistol and a rifle, That's about it. Which I'm not as big on. I would like to be able to carry more weapons. that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. So
it's also very obvious with this game that they really prioritize multiplayer, because even when you play on because they're always saying like on the side, there's always saying like edit squad, so you can play with bots or you can play with actual people, and and even when you're playing on your own, like if you die, you have to wait for an ally to revive you, which I'm not as big on. I would have kind of preferred it if they separated the single player and the co-op portions, like rather than combining the two into one.
Especially if you're not going to have a group of mates to play this with.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I'm playing this on PC, and I imagine you're playing on PlayStation or Xbox.
I got the Xbox version.
Yeah, briefly. So I don't know if like crossplay will be a factor in it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's not. In fact,
there's a PvP multiplayer bit. I haven't had a go at that yet because I've just been doing the single player stuff.
I didn't have a go of it either. I actually uninstalled it from my Xbox recently to free up some space because I learned what the file size of Metaphor is.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's just not that massive on there.
No,
I mean I acknowledge it's not a game. It's not a game for everyone. Like it's definitely not. It's not going to be like, for example, a high 8 for me. I'd probably say it's like maybe low 8, for example. But it's not particularly because there's not a lot wrong with the game. Like it's fun, but there's not really. It's just not an insane amount to it more than anything else.
No, I would go 7 for me.
Yeah, because what I've seen with the PvP multiplayer is mostly just deathmatch, which players get bored of.
Which we're gonna come back to later in this podcast.
I mean, I feel like they're fans of deathmatch. That's fine. I'm certain, like, pretty sure I could have like a decent amount of fun with it.
Let me tell you though, right now, Elliot, if the map size is not a good variety, I can tell you from experience with Concord, you get bored of deathmatch really fucking quickly.
Yeah. I mean, also the campaign is really short. Like I checked on how long to beat. It's like 9 hours. Which, in all fairness, I feel like a game mostly focused on multiplayer with gameplay like this, you kind of need a shorter campaign.
I would say
like it's at least a bit longer than the first game was.
Yeah. I'd also say for the average player, I'd say always add 2 hours onto anything that howlongtobeat.com says. I think they're always like taking like the smallest possible one. And I think, no, that's going to be at least another hour,
like,
2
hours. Like, I think 7.5 hours into it, and even I can kind of tell, we're sort of starting to wrap up a bit now.
So, Elliot, before we move on, do you recommend it?
Yeah, I recommend it. If you're at all into Warhammer, I do recommend it. I do suggest playing the first Space Marine game, but it's not entirely required. I think it's fun. I enjoy it.
Can people still play the first Space Marines game?
It's on Steam.
On Steam.
So I think if you're playing on consoles, you might struggle a bit more.
Right.
In that basis, I'd also say this feels like a game that's made for PC more than it is for the consoles. I noticed there was a few I did know some frame rate issues when I was playing on Xbox.
Yeah. I haven't found any frame rate issues. It runs perfectly for me.
Yeah, which is why I'm saying I think the console versions might have a little issue. I mean, it might be a me thing. It might be because my internet might have been playing up. I have had some internet issues here a couple of days. Seems to be working fine.
Like it could also just be the Xbox version. I don't know how the PS5 runs.
Yeah, no, as I say, and I haven't played the PS5 version, so I can't say. Reese, annoyingly, your game has a slightly higher Metacritic score than mine, which is again. In fact, my one actually, although I will say, Gundam Breaker 4, it has a 77 on Metacritic.
That deserves to be higher.
Yeah, I was about to say that's only 1 point above Star Wars Outlaws, and my one is 1 point below. And I'm sorry, it is a much better game than Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, well, let's face it. This has been known to pay off people before for positive reviews.
I would want
that has been documented.
No offense, Gundam Breaker 4, 7.6 for fans. It's got 2.1. It's 2.1 points higher than Star Wars.
Can I also add for legal reasons that Ubisoft has denied these claims, but they have been some documentation that suggested it. I just want to get that one out. I don't want a Ubisoft lawyer calling up Axia tomorrow.
Anyway, yeah, Gundam Breaker.
Especially, don't do that one. Especially,
Gundam Breaker 4.
Especially considering that my mum's going on holiday tomorrow. So Gundam Breaker 4. This obviously, if you played the other Gundam Breakers, you know what type of game this is going to be. Reese, describe it.
Yeah, so it's not actually technically Gundam Breaker 4. It's actually the 6th game in the series.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Japan, get your numbers sorted.
It's not as bad as Kingdom Hearts, though, let's be honest.
No, I'll give you that one. Kingdom Hearts is way worse for this shit.
So, basically, did you guys watch Gundam Build Divers?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched, I watched a little bit into the second core, I think. Right,
this game's pretty much following that structure exactly.
So
it's like Gunpla fighting as Gunpla.
So, in a virtual reality. So players go through their story, and the story is actually very similar to Season 1 of Build Divers, funnily enough, with a whole focus on AI. But the story is decent. Ren would enjoy it more because the main villain in Japanese is voiced by Dio.
Nice.
No, I love it.
Yeah. So players go through these missions. There's 7 chapters total for 36 missions. Players go through, they build their Gunpla. They go through these missions. They fight swarms of enemy Gunpla. And you've got to break them to get their parts. And basically it just snowballs.
So in terms of like the Gundams that are on options,
yeah,
are we talking more like a gacha mechanics to get the Gunpla you want, or is it like Overwatch and its hero shooter idea of like you just pick them, but you don't necessarily can have duplicates on teams? Or
no, it's literally there's no gacha. There's an in-game shop if you want to buy the kits directly using in-game currency. There's no microtransactions apart from boosters, but they're really optional.
Brilliant.
So you just completely ignore them. So basically, you go through, and each mission you face two waves of a swarm of mini Gunpla come to attack you. There's over 250 in total. So every series across the 45 years of Gundam's represented here. And it always ends in a big boss fight.
So presumably this game was made to get aerial in the game.
Yeah, but because of how late Wish for Mercury was added into this adaptation, it's only the aerial and Bob's Doriable from Season 1, the red suit he has.
Love that one. Okay.
Yeah, so those are the only 2 Wish for Mercury representations so far.
So no Firact, for example?
No, but the game is getting the Season Pass, and it's getting free DLC as well.
So,
that's sick.
So, okay, for example, if I wanted to get, you don't need to deny or confirm that this one is in the game, but let's say one of my favorite designs of any of the mech in Gundam was Zex's mech from Gundam Wing. You know, the one he used towards the end of the series. If I wanted to get
Geese or the Epion.
The Epion, you know, the big red one.
Yeah.
That one's one of my favorites. If I wanted to get that one, is it just go into the shop and look for it, or does it only become available after a certain point?
The shop gets expanded as you go through the story.
Right.
But the story itself isn't that long. You can clear it on the lowest difficulty setting if you want, and breeze through in about 15 hours.
And then all the old guys like us are all going for the RX-78.
Yeah, that's the suit you actually start the game with.
Of course you start the game with the RX-78.
And then the new fans like me will go with Aerial.
Yeah, which is probably going to take a while to shot.
Because
which you don't get until near the end of the game.
Fuck you.
Okay, so let me guess, Reese. You used the one from Iron-Blooded Orphans almost entirely.
The Barbatos. I actually did use its weapon because its weapon's actually overpowered. The giant friggin' mace. Because there's an exploit in the minute in the combo string where you do light, heavy, and it just does a Lance's repeated jab attack. So you just stack all the damage on it, and it kills everything.
I love it.
I killed the final boss in like 30 seconds on the hardest difficulty.
Jesus Christ.
That is amazing. I love that. So, would you say in terms of like I'm guessing this one you've really got to be a hardcore Gundam fan to really want to play this.
Yeah, otherwise the gameplay gets really repetitive really quickly because every mission, apart from like a few special scripted boss only missions, it's always the 2 waves of enemy gunpla that attack you, and then the third wave is either a giant boss or an enemy team, and there's pretty much no deviation.
Right.
Sounds a bit like sort of the mission structure in Daemon X Machina.
They're very similar. Most of this gameplay and enjoyment comes from the person building their dream gunpla and changing it over the course of the game.
Now,
Right, so that's like the main mechanic, just mixing and matching gunpla together.
I
Exactly.
like that. I kind of like that idea.
And they've also increased the customization in this game because you can now have separate left and right arms for a full like asymmetrical design.
So I could have, for example, I could have the Epion's body, but I could have the weapon from the one from Iron Blood Orphans, and I could have Ariel's weapon on the other side.
Yeah, easily. New to this game as well is dual wielding. So you can dual wield like the Wings dual buster rifles.
Oh, that's just going to be broken.
And now they're not just a skill. You can use that all the time.
Oh, damn.
Hero,
so you can dual wield melee weapons as well. So at the start of the game, for like the first chapter, I was using the RX-78 with a beam saber and a really lucky drop heat hawk. So I was just like mashing stuff with a hawk and beam saber. And because of the several different weapons categories, all the combo strings mixed together as well. So everything feels unique, which is where the most enjoyment comes from.
So Gundam fans really should apply for this one.
Yeah, newcomers to the franchise won't get as much out of it, I don't think.
You're not going to get those references.
Yeah, they won't get the references, and they'll probably get overwhelmed by the stats because the games are very heavy RPG statistics focused.
Right.
On the customization, because it's like stats for everything, every part, every action, and also with the skill system as well, because with different parts you get different skills. So you have 4 option skills and 3 the extreme option skills, which is like the big finishing moves.
Now, it's got a 77 on Metacritic. What do you think the issues are with this game?
The main issues are the repetitiveness of the combat if you only stick to one build and for the most of the game, because otherwise you'll be doing the same thing repeatedly on loop. That's why I really recommend people change up the builds. You've got the option for multiple blueprints, so you can save different builds at a time and switch between them any time. So I'd really recommend people do variety. Don't just stick to one build.
Okay.
And
I feel like there'll be a lot of hardcore players who will just stick to the best builds they can just so they can keep winning.
Yeah, well, at this point, there's no real one best build apart from the Barbatos's melee weapon. But apart from that, pretty much anything's viable.
I'm just glad this is not microtransaction heavy as well, because I actually could conceive myself potentially giving this one a go.
Yeah, it's like with games like that, you do with like this one, you do kind of expect it to be kind of microtransaction heavy.
Yeah, which is what the previous game Gundam Breaker Mobile was about, which is American Japan exclusive. Europe didn't get it, and that was all gotcha on the phone.
Yeah.
Do money in, you get a random part out. Could be a leg, could be an arm, could be anything. So, and there's random rarity.
So we're all sorted. So that's. I think that's an interesting sounding game, all things considered.
Yeah, it's definitely best with friends because the multiplayer is a lot of fun as well. Because the AI teammates you have, they are pretty much dumb as rocks and do no damage. They're just there as meat shields.
That's actually kind of that's actually pretty much the opposite for Space Marine 2, because AI in Space Marine 2 are actually pretty good. Like I'll see them killing some of the bigger enemies for me.
So we'll move on to the last game we're going to talk about in depth, which is Square Enix's Visions of Mana. It has a 75 on Metacritic currently from critics. Not sure about users, but
users is 8.5.
8.5 is way more accurate.
So that being said, critics, there are no negative scores. With users, there are a couple.
No, yeah, I think I know what their scores are. Also, I should say you probably got the PS5 version up. I've been playing the PC version of it. When I would say very fluid in terms of the combat on the.
Wait, Calvin? playing on the PC? What?
Well, I bought myself a new gaming laptop, so I wanted to try out that. That was one of the games I thought I'd try out because I thought I was going to be going away at the time. Didn't end up going away. But Visions of Mana is one of the best RPGs I've played all year.
I'm looking at the trailer now. The fuck is up with the main character's hair?
Yeah, no, the main character has very serious anime hair character design.
I don't even know what to say. It looks like a combination of I don't know, Rose from Code Geass and Marge Simpson.
Do you know what's weird? There's a character in it you get later on who's sort of got a squirrel tail. She's a sort of squirrel girl character. She has a squirrel. Right. She actually has a like squirrel tail and stuff like that. And every time you get a change of outfit because of the new classes, I just think the furries are going nuts right now. I will say though, I'm not mincing my words when I say I think this is one of the best RPGs I've played all year. I think the only,
really?
Yeah, because I do think the mechanics are really good. It's a very good action RPG, and it's they did a very good job translating that sort of style from the 2D games into 3D with like the reaction wheel.
The only action RPG I can think of that came out this year, aside from Stellar Blade, is Grand Blue Fantasy.
I would say.
How does this stack up to Relink?
I would say, in terms of the variety of everything you're going to be doing in the game, it's a little bit better than Relink. But I think Relink in some area it definitely looks better because it's made to just be on PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And it's got.
I'm pretty sure it's on PC as well.
It's on PC, yes. But I think Visions of Mana, they go for that cartoony style, which is very difficult to make that look amazing. But it's a style in itself. And I also think Relink, there's a lot more strategy that goes into it. There's a lot more challenging. In fact, I'll get it out of the way. The biggest negative I have with Visions of Mana is, and I'm 16 hours in. I haven't beaten the game yet, but I'm 16 hours in. Way too easy. It's brought over the exact same issue I have with Trials of Mana. It is way too easy. In those 16 hours, I've had exactly one game over. And it was
so we know if you're complaining about difficulty, then there's definitely something up.
Yeah, no.
That is one more game over that I had in that time I got reincarnated to slime.
No, seriously, I only got one game over because I accidentally ran into an enemy that was too strong. and by which I mean 30 levels too strong. But it's not very challenging. You have to go out your way to find the real challenging areas. And even then, the proper challenging areas had very little risk to it. You just got a new ability seed. That's the thing. Some of the moves a lot and boosts a lot behind things called ability seeds.
Compare that to Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which while I didn't find that game insanely really too difficult, I did still feel like there were a lot of challenges and a lot of times where I did struggle.
Yes, I'll agree with that one. And also, unlike Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Visions of Mana doesn't have multiplayer.
Yeah.
And which is a shame because I think this would have done quite well with multiplayer. What I do like about it though is the class system they introduced. They introduced like this element. It's very similar to it's kind of similar to Xenoblade Chronicles 3's class system, although the individual classes don't have levels, but they do have like a straight skill tree for each one. And they're based on the different elements. So like you can have one character who's got the fire element, or you can have one character who's got the wind element.
How easy are they to level up? Or more accurately, max out?
If you want to max them out, you're going to have to do a lot of exploration. You're going to have to do a bit of exploration because you don't earn the points to max them out through battle. You earn them through unlocking new ones and finding either clover coins or these elemental areas that are in the map, and you have to backtrack you have to fast travel to previous areas you've been to because some of them open up as you unlock new ones. So, for example,
because that's one of the major issues I had with Xenoblade 3, the fact that it took that maxing. You had so many classes, and they were so easy to max out. It felt less like I was sort of trying to strategize my team and decide what setup will do best, and more like it was basically just a checklist of things to level up.
It's less of a checklist. You really pick which one. You really want to pick which one you like based on what characters' weapons work quite well and what element matches up with like the weakness of what the next boss fight is going to be, or what weakness of this area. So, for example, I really liked the main character Val. He gets one of his. He does quite heavy hitting weapons in most of his classes, and I finally got one where he does them in a quicker style, which suits my gameplay better when he gets the earth element. But in that environment, earth magic was so weak that it wasn't worth it. So I went back to the water one, which I'd been leveling him up in already. So you want to level up a couple of them, but it's
actually, that reminds me a bit of, strangely enough, Strange of the Paradise.
Yeah,
because of the whole class system with that. Because the class system in the Strange of the Paradise is actually one of the few things I'll actually praise a game for. Because each of the classes is more dependent on what weapons you had, and you can like branch them off into separate. And like once you level them up, you can evolve them into different classes going forward. I generally really enjoyed that. I still praise that.
It's not as complicated as that, but it is quite similar in some regards. But I'd also say the combat is so good, you're going to want to grind to level up your characters, to do. The side quests are really fucking boring. That's one of the things I'll say about it. The side quests are not good. They are very much fetch quests half the time, or kill a certain number of enemies in a certain environment. But the other thing I do think is the story is. I don't know what my feelings on the story are, because the story, because I haven't finished it yet. So, but I'm cautiously optimistic about it, because they sort of do this weird thing. They kind of combine the storyline. It's very similar in storyline to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but also Final Fantasy X is also clearly played an influence on this, because it has the whole it's very similar in Final Fantasy X. It's the idea of there's these what are called alms of the elements, and their job is to sacrifice themselves to the mana tree to prevent disaster of that element from happening. So if the fire element doesn't sacrifice itself, volcanoes will go up everywhere. If the water element doesn't sacrifice itself, there'll be massive floods. So it's the main character Val.
I'd just like to know. I kind of find it humorous the way you describe that. Oh, what's your job? Well, my job is to die.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
So the game paints assisted suicide as a good thing.
Yes, it's essentially this idea of, but it's this idea of what those games did, which is the idea of gleeful sacrifice for the masses, and that the communities are not sort of thinking, hang on, isn't it a bit fucked up that we're sending a bunch of young people to die for our benefit? And everyone's very gleeful about doing it. But the thing is as well, it does actually halfway through the game sort of say, hang on, isn't it kind of fucked up that we're doing this? And then it turns out it's from a character who does a heel turn that you can see coming a mile away. But it's where the story actually got the most interesting. So I'm interested to see, how do they conclude this storyline of this idea of, isn't it a bit fucked up that we're sacrificing a bunch of young people for everyone else's benefit? And
it kind of reminds me of the story from Weathering with You. You know, before it got bad and they actually brought the girl back.
Yeah, but a difference is with Weathering with You, there's an argument to be made with that one. I don't know if there's an argument with this one in the sense of because it's actually posed the question, what if there is a way that we can do this without having to sacrifice people? And as I say, I don't know how the story concludes, so I can't say for certain what my opinion of it is, but my other big problem is, though, a lot of the character development sort of like, it wasn't really happening, and then it sort of all happens at once in the middle of the game.
So, I guess like Sea of Stars?
Quite similar to Sea of Stars, actually, in many regards, but it's different.
Oh, God, Sea of Stars had a terrible story.
I will stress, though, this is already a better story. Even no matter how this ends, this is going to have a better story than Sea of Stars, because the characters have way more fucking personality than any of the characters did in Sea of Stars.
Like, wait, even more than Gull?
Because
Gull was a one good character in that game.
Yeah, no, everyone is on Gull levels of personality. I will say that much. God. Everyone's on Gull levels. So it's not like they're amazing, but they're at least at that level, which is more than can be said for half the other characters in it. So that's my thing about the environments are really also very nice to explore, especially as you get more elements, so you get more exploration abilities that you get with each of the elements. Very good game. I highly recommend it, but I think you have to be a fan of action RPGs, and particularly the Mana series. I think the Mana. There's a lot of throwbacks to the Mana series that you're gonna miss if you haven't played like Secret of Mana or Trials of Mana remake. So, and also it's not as serious of an RPG as, say, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. So I think that might throw some people off.
Would you say it's more like Dragon Quest 11 then? In terms of seriousness?
I'd say in terms of tone, it's very similar to Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah.
But I also think I might say Dragon Quest 11 is a better RPG in many regards because
I mean, Dragon Quest 11 is one of my favorite JRPGs, so yeah, I kind of expect that.
Yeah, I'm not just saying that because you're here, Elliot. I do think Dragon Quest 11 is an excellent game. So shall we move on then to our news items, because we've got a couple to cover, and the first one really is PlayStation's weird fucking week. Because let's talk. Concord shut down 2 weeks after it came out. We were supposed to
less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks. I was supposed to be talking about my opinions on the game when we were in this podcast.
Now we can't. Just it's dead.
It's dead. It's no point. Yeah. I will say the only thing I say about it is the fact that you only ever really could get into 2 matches of like kill confirmed or deathmatch. They got really boring. The character variety wasn't very good in terms of the gameplay.
I'd like to know, they announced it was closing really early, not long after your review came out. So your review came out, they probably read it and went, oh fuck, the Calvin Atkinson hates our game. All right, close everything down. We're done. Get rid of it.
Yeah, no, I was staggered by that, because you said on the middle of stream, by the way, Concord shutting down. I was like, no, he's got to have got that wrong. And then I went and looked on Twitter. Oh my god, it actually is shutting down.
No, I went, so how long? No, I went, how long do you think Concord has? You said like a year. I said it's closing Friday.
Because before the game came out, they announced all their plans going up to like April.
Yeah, because they probably just played that giant roadmap.
And then they just got rid of it. And I think it was because of the low player count and the fact that PlayStation looked at it and said, no, we can't sell this because this is going to be a graveyard.
Yeah.
By the end of it.
The total sales of it was like 25,000 in the end.
And for the record, they did refund players because I got my refund. I got it I got it on Monday actually, so like 3 days afterwards. But again, it shut down on Friday. I don't think they would have done refunds at the weekend. So yeah, but I got my full £50 back.
Hey.
And
I charged that much for that game.
I should say I got the digital deluxe edition. That's why it was £50. It would have been £40 if I just got the normal one. But I wanted access to the beta to give an early opinion of it. And oh my god, and you know me, I'm not someone to badmouth Concord when it came out, when they were first revealing it. I was giving this thing every chance to change to sort of like be good, and it was just so boring. This is one of the most boring for multiplayer games I have ever played.
Yeah, me and Reese were shitting on it. You were like, no, it's probably be okay. Then next thing you realize, it's dog. It's dog shit.
This was so dog shit of a game. And okay, so but the thing is that they didn't say they were getting rid of Concord completely. They did say they were going to look at their options. So do you think there's a potential revival of the IP in some fashion?
No.
I think if there will be, they'll trial doing a free-to-play.
That's what it should have done in the first place. This should have been a free-to-play game or came with PS Plus, because you would have got a bunch of people who were already subscribed to go on out of curiosity. Yeah, it would have dropped off eventually, but it wouldn't have dropped off this badly. And I heard in the same, when I got the interview, I heard from someone from VGC who basically got a hold of it. And that's actually where I'm going to counter some of the things that were reported about this. But my source for countering some of the things about this. But he basically said they didn't do anything that you'd meant to do with a live service game. They didn't beta test this thing. They didn't get a community feedback. They didn't build a community. They just put this game out and thought the community will follow.
I mean, we got one trailer like 2 weeks before the game even came out.
Well, it was 2 weeks before the beta. It was a month before the game was coming out, and
Yeah. So you have to get no build-up, no hype, no reason for us to care about this game, and then you just release it and expect it to just pop off.
Yeah, like another thing is there's an episode of you remember that the one that the Deadpool producer was working on, that video game.
Oh yeah, the show you're excited about because they have Mega Man in it.
Yeah. There was meant to be a
it was titled like Secret Level or something.
Secret Level, I believe it's called. Yeah, there's meant to be a Concord episode.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Do you reckon that's actually going to go out, or is Sony going to pull some strings and say no, don't broadcast this?
It depends how late into development it is.
But they could be finished if Sony could Sony could easily just say to Amazon, no, we are revoking our rights for this one in particular. You're not broadcasting this.
Yeah.
So that could happen. Do you reckon Concord would have been better? It would have actually done slightly better if it had gone free to play or been a PlayStation Plus perk.
I think it would have done slightly better, maybe not that much, because even when the opening beta was happening, people were just apathetic towards it.
Yeah.
And
I feel like if it was free to play, maybe it would have lasted longer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Sony is going to... So you think Sony will just sunset this thing and we'll never discuss it? Because reviewers are losing access to their review codes for the game. Their review copies are just being deleted off their hard drives.
Yep. Yeah. This just goes to show how dangerous it is to have a digital-only library, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, I'll say more on that in a minute.
I mean, in all fairness, you can't play the game anymore. What's the fucking point of keeping it on your console anyway? If you ask me, they're doing you a favor.
But it just sets a dangerous precedent of them going into your console without your knowledge and taking off a digital title.
That's what concerns me about the whole thing. Yeah. That one of the things I will also ask is, how do we think Sony's live service initiative is going to go going forwards? Because we've had a major success with Helldivers 2. We've had a major failure here with Concord. And I'd say, can we add to the major failures The Last of Us Online getting cancelled at Naughty Dog?
I wouldn't say that was such a massive failure because people could see the writing on the wall for a while.
Yeah.
And they weren't really clambering for a multiplayer.
There have been no updates on it, and apparently Bungie took one look at it and just said, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah, no, yeah. So we won't, but that's the point. They've already canned a few live service games. What do we say Gran Turismo 7? Is that in the success or failure category? Is that somewhere in between?
I say it's in between.
Yeah, I say in between.
So we've had those ones. What do you think is Sony going to look at this and say, maybe live services are not the way to go because we've had a major success now with Astro Bot and that came well under budget?
Yep.
I mean, I would hope that Astro Bot's success would say they should make more variety of games. But what do you reckon? Live services, do they keep at it or do you think they're going to really tone it down now?
I don't think they're going to go as hard. I don't think they're going to stop, but they're probably not going to slow it down a bit.
So they're not going to be sort of like saying, if someone pitches them a live service version of SOCOM or say, should we give Twisted Metal another go?
I think it has to be... I think it has to be something obviously recognizable for them. Like, I think one of the big problems of Concord was that was a new IP. No one knew what the fuck that was. If they went Twisted Metal, I feel like that would do better.
What about if they, like, one of the things I heard when people go around say, why not with Concord make it like a hero combat game with loads of PlayStation characters like Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter and those characters, like kind of try and revive the PlayStation All-Stars brand?
That wouldn't work as well with this hero shooter, though.
I'm not saying necessarily a hero shooter. Do more like what Marvel Rivals is doing.
Which more the Overwatch clone mechanic.
Sort of an Overwatch clone, but not a total hero shooter.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been... Because I think people said when PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale came out, they said, this hasn't quite worked, but we don't want them to give up on this idea.
I don't think that will work, though. Because, I mean, as an example of a IP that did have a live service thing that didn't work well, Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, that's not done well.
They had a live action game, a live service game.
Yeah, with Crash Team Rumble.
Yeah, nobody cared about it.
No, even
Yep.
I didn't care about it, and I love Crash Bandicoot shit.
Yeah, it was so bad. It only had 2 seasons post-launch.
Like,
Yeah.
even Cad Icarus, I would have thought Cad Icarus would have done something around it for Bandicoot Month or something, and he didn't even touch it. And he can't now because it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially hurtful now that we know we got that instead of Crash Bandicoot 5.
Yeah, which hopefully that's what Toys for Bob are trying to revive with their new
Unless, I don't know, someone tells me Microsoft will have the IP now.
They do have
it'll be an Activision IP.
They do have the access to the IP, but Toys for Bob have hinted that their new game is going to be Crash or Spyro because they had to go to Xbox to make the deal. And Xbox will control the IP. Activision don't control the IP anymore. Xbox do, because that would have been part of the deal. So if Phil Spencer says...
No, I mean, personally, I think it might be something with... they might be doing a new IP. Yeah. They have been hinting about doing a new IP for, but I feel like they'll be doing that.
They wouldn't necessarily need to go to Xbox then if they were doing that, because I think they wouldn't want to give Xbox part ownership of a new IP that they were trying to shift. I think they would be very cautious about doing that because it would put them pretty much back in the same position they were in before. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. So I think, what do you think happens to Firewalk Studios that made Concord?
Are they it's going to be shut down.
Best case scenario is going to be merged into something else.
I think it gets merged into SIE.
Because I think they're a pretty recent purchase as well. So I feel like it would be kind of a waste to purchase them only to immediately shut them down.
There has been
other companies have done that, but I don't think Sony is like EA, for example. I feel like they're just going to merge it with other companies.
So, actually, on that note, there has been some misinformation that's gone out there that suggested, like something they suggested was that this game had been worked on for 8 years. It hadn't. Most 6, because we weren't hearing anything until before that.
But it's still, they started working on it during the height of Overwatch, so we know when what the inspiration was.
But
so the pre-production started roughly 8 years ago with Overwatch, where they were getting the idea for the game.
Yeah, but
but they just took too long.
Now, I will say I have complete sympathy with a lot of the people that worked on this game. That it cannot be great for them, but I do not have as much. I don't have as much sympathy for the higher ups of the studio that made the game, because no one made you pitch this game. Sony didn't say this is the game you're making. You pitched this game and it got approved. So there has to be some blame labeled there that no one went up and said, no, this is a terrible idea, stop it immediately.
Yeah.
But again, it's our likelihood it was pitched during the height of Overwatch, so they thought, oh yeah, it's just going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, but the thing is, they said 100 million was spent to make it, and no, I don't believe that figure is accurate. But even if it's slightly off, that is way too much money to be spending for a first-time studio. This is the exact same reason why Callisto Protocol was considered a failure, despite the fact it sold quite well. They spent too much making it.
Well, that's a recent trend, because just look at Disney with the Acolyte that just bombed. Yeah. That was 180 million on that series.
Or as an example, recently, Alan Wake 2, Remedy still hasn't hit equal with that game yet.
I think they're going to eventually, over its lifetime sales, they will...
yeah, especially with, again, a physical edition coming out.
And, of course, Alan, something else that we're going to discuss that might be coming down the line, which might recoup some of their costs with that.
Yeah.
The Alan Wake kart racer.
You also got to remember that...
Alan Wake Golf.
You remember, Alan Wake got nominated for Game of the Year. Now, the thing is, when you get... studies repeatedly do show, when you get nominated for big awards like Oscars, it does increase the revenue on what you put out there. It's why the studio spends so much money on for your consideration campaigns. You can actually take a film that would have been a flop and really make more money. So that happened. Let's talk about then the PS5 Pro. This won't take long because there's not much to discuss on it. But it revealed it's going to try and get games to work at 4K 60,
which is a lie because we later found out they're not touching the CPU. They're only touching the GPU.
Yeah.
So games will not run any faster.
So they won't.
They will just look slightly better.
Some games apparently are going to run a little bit better as well at the same time. But again, they're going to be specifically patched, like Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank. Though they did say some
is getting improved apparently.
Yeah, I was about to say some third-party games and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is getting it, and that's one I'm going to be very interested to see what they do with that one. They did also announce that, then they came to the pricing. So for us in the it's $700 in America, £700 in the UK, which actually means it's technically, because of the exchange rate, more expensive over here than it is in America.
Yeah, people were saying it's roughly the equivalent to $900 over here.
But here's the other factor that really stung. It's digital only. So if you want to use your discs, you're going to have to buy a separate disc drive, which will cost you £80.
Yep.
So this is about £780 if I wanted to get this right now. And also the stand is not part of the price. You have to buy that if you want to have it upright.
I mean, here's my thought process on it. I feel like even if we got a version with a disc drive, it would still probably cost like $780.
No,
when you really think about it, because like they would charge the disc drive higher than a digital, but not come up with a stand is stupid.
That is really stupid, because how much is that really costing them to sort of like produce? But
especially because like the stand is kind of needed because because if you stand it up, it's blocking some of the fans unless you actually have the stand.
Okay, so can I ask another thing about this thing? So so you said even if it came with a disc drive, it wouldn't have been good for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have cared. I mean, the PS5 looks good enough already. The PS4 Pro was kind of a necessary upgrade because this isn't.
Yeah, no, and also I thought if they charged £600, they would have said, okay, that's a decent position because you're now positioning this as the luxury model for this thing. But even then, without the disc drive, it means so many of my games are not usable unless I buy that, because I don't have access to Elden Ring, I don't have access to Spider-Man, I don't have access to Final Fantasy, I don't have access to Ratchet and Clank. Now, some of those games I'm never going to play again because I got the Platinums in them, but I think my point still stands. Like, if I wanted to go back to Horizon Forbidden West, I now wouldn't have access to it, which is one of the games that's getting enhancements.
Yep.
I do like the idea that they're enhancing PlayStation 4 games through the backwards compatibility. That feels like a long overdue thing. But that's not enough to make me spend £700. Like, I'm perfectly good with my base model PS5. I'm happy just to have that in performance mode. I don't need it to look like this amazing thing. Some of it, the technology is quite clever. Like, the AI upscaling is quite good. But
until you look closer at the trailers and see it doesn't actually do that much.
Yeah, I was about to say, why did they put this on YouTube? YouTube was not the friend for this trailer coming out. Okay,
and also the showcase of it in Spider-Man 2 where they do it side by side. The shadows look worse than the PS5 Pro ports for the update. If you actually look at the shadows of the trees in the backgrounds, they are worse.
That was a terrible thing that they let that get out there. So it's definitely, I can't recommend the PS5 Pro to anyone, particularly the fact it's digital only. And I said something on stream which I want to re-clarify what my thought process is. I said that I believe the PS6 would be digital only. I want to re-clarify what my opinion is. I believe that the base model will be digital only, and you will buy a disc drive separately for backwards compatibility with PS4 and PS5. I do believe the PS6 itself will have only digital games. Do you guys still think I'm wrong on that one?
Yeah, I think so, honestly.
You think there will still be physical games for the PS6?
Yeah, because I see the Slim and the Pro as just a new thing. Okay. They're not a major, one's just a slimmer version, one's a slight upgrade. They're not like anything major to do with the PS5.
Do you mind if I ask another thing, actually? What about Xbox? Do we think Xbox's next console is digital only?
I don't think there's anything that implies that's the case.
New Series X was pretty much every console they've released since the original Series X has been digital only.
Again, they're not really major upgrade, or then I don't really see them as the major consoles. They're just slight upgrades.
Do we actually think though? Okay, here's another question then: is it an inevitability that we're going to have to go digital only at some point because the companies are going to force us down that route, or do you think there will always be a physical route?
I think there'll always be at least a physical route option for I don't know, an attachable disk drive.
Yeah, I feel like there always will be, but I would not be surprised if we do go down the digital route. And if we're being entirely honest, if they did go down a digital route, I wouldn't scream about it. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I'm not gonna be throwing fits and whatnot.
Yeah, that's my opinion as well. I'd not be happy, but I wouldn't be particularly upset either.
I deal with it. If you just as an example, PC games have been digitally only for decades now,
and people have gotten quite used to it. They've gotten quite well with it. I would say though, I'm a bit concerned about some of the practices by various companies with the digital only future. So I do hope that limited run games are going to have something to work with in the future.
One of the big worries about people about things going digital only is that people are worried, the companies will take away our games. They will take away all the they could just stop us from playing all these games. Believe me, they won't.
They won't.
Some of them will, but they won't. As an example, Konami took PT off the PlayStation Store. You can still play that game. If you download it onto your PS4, you can still play. You can still play that. They're not going to take away your games without a justified reason.
God, have you seen what the price goes for on eBay for a PS4 with PT installed?
Yeah, it's insane.
It's I actually thought I'd buy one just for a novelty because I'll be honest, I've never played PT.
Yeah, I didn't end up downloading it. I was tempted to, but just kept forgetting to.
The thing is, I can't now watch PT or any of the footage of it without being reminded of Invader Zim, thanks to Fiery Joker. Because he'd have a clip of him saying, Konami doing, "Leave no evidence." So what?
Yeah, I really don't think a lot of companies are itching to take away our games.
Yeah,
people complain they're taking away Concord. You can't fucking play it.
What about the one?
It's down. It's done. You can't play that game. Who cares if you don't have it on your console anymore?
I'm going to use one example though where this did happen, which is on the PC, and that was the recent Crew game, I think, and that's been taken off, and you can't even do the single player anymore, and there's not been consistent refunds for the game, so that's a big worry. So here's my thought process on the whole thing. You have make the company. This is what I want lawmakers to do. This is what I actually put down as things I'm concerned about with the upcoming general election when it was happening, and I think this is something that the next American president should consider as well, which is if digital media is going to be taken away from you, you have to give a refund.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's the because
completely agree.
Because then companies would never take it away from you because they would lose so much money. Look how much money.
The one exception in this, I'd say, is if it's a free live service or gacha game that you spend money on in game for.
That's maybe a concern, and that's I can see that example. But I think if they're taking away a single player game,
if they're taking away a single player game, obviously
they have to give you your money back. So then they would never do it. The last thing, let's talk about something pleasant before we go. Because none of us are recommending the PS5 Pro right now.
No, all of us are going to skip it.
Well, actually, we have a couple more. Let's talk about movie trailers.
That's the one I was going to move to. The movie trailer. So we're going to talk about movie trailers, and because something actually happened last night that affected this, we were ready to go, and then last night Jason Schreier made a report. So let's talk. Yeah. So let's talk about let's talk about let's get the bad trailer first. Minecraft.
I was gonna say let's get the good one out of the way first.
No, I want to get the bad one out of the way because people.
Okay, Minecraft.
Because people don't want to hear me gushing too much about Sonic. Minecraft trailer. What the hell was that?
It looks so bad.
Oh, it looks terrible.
Oh my! It looks so awful. Holy shit!
Why didn't they just go down the route of it being it's live action for a bit of it, and then you go into the Minecraft universe and it's all animated? That would have made more sense.
Just do what the Lego Movie did, the first one.
Yeah, it just screams Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Because like all those real people in Minecraft, it just proves more and more that that just doesn't look real.
Also, the Playmobil movie did better. The Playmobil movie.
I forgot that. I
didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, that did a similar thing with the whole live action and then it comes anime, but that did it better. That's how low the bar's sunk here. Like everything looks like an eldritch nightmare. And there's that famous interview quote where they're saying they're trying to avoid the ugly Sonic trailer. You hit it, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You hit it.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't even know what this fucking movie is about. Like in any other video game trailer, you still got a slight idea of what the film was. In this, I don't know what it is. All I know is people go into the Minecraft world as a bunch of ugly-ass block characters. Jack Black says, "I am Steve," and that's it.
Look,
no, Ali, he goes, "I am Steve."
Look, the thing is,
yeah, we have major power of many levels of acting with that.
I like Jack Black. I haven't got sick of him at this point in time because I think he can still deliver something good. When he has the right script, I like Kung Fu Panda. Despite its issues, I did like Kung Fu Panda 4. And
I like Kung Fu Panda 4.
And I actually thought he was really good as Bowser in.
He was fun. Are you kidding me? He's phenomenal as Bowser. He was amazing.
I like him as Bowser in the Mario movie. I don't know what they've done with him here. Maybe he's going to be the thing that turns it around. But the person who I've just went, this person seems horribly miscast to be in this is Jason. Jason Momoa.
Yeah, why the? Do you know the unfortunate thing? We all say it looks terrible. We're all going to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to.
Let's be honest. We're all going to see it. We have to see how terrible this.
I have to see how much of a disaster this movie's going to be.
I'm gonna invite friends. I'm gonna invite friends. I'm gonna go in a suit. I'm gonna give it a 15-minute ovation after it's done.
But can I also stress another thing as well is I think that this it's very weird that Microsoft's going from an adaptation that's done them very well with Fallout and are now moving into this adaptation which looks like it's going to be a disaster for them.
Yeah.
I mean it can't be any worse than the Halo show.
Oh dear.
Which thankfully has been cancelled now.
Yeah, I still get adverts for that every time I log on to Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
For the record, I got Paramount
Unfortunately, this time we will not be finishing this fight.
I got it for Knuckles, and then I kept it because I get access to loads of South Park episodes. So let's talk. Speaking of which, Sonic 3 trailer looks amazing.
That's good.
So I like. Okay, here's things I like. I like what little we've heard of Keanu Reeves as Shadow.
Yeah, he sounds like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, but the one thing I'm a bit iffy on is Jim Carrey dual playing both Gerald Robotnik and Ivo.
I don't mind that. I think it works.
Yeah, but
when you look at it in the game, General Ivo Robotnik looks a lot like Eggman did.
Yeah, but the thing that does it for me is that Gerald Robotnik is one of the most really heinous characters in the series. Like what he does at the end of Sonic Adventure 2 is like, wow, I know you had something horrible done to you, but that is well going overboard.
I mean, you never know. He could do a good job. Jim Carrey has done serious roles before and has done them well.
Yeah,
and also don't forget, Carl, they did try to redeem Gerald in the Shadow the Hedgehog game.
That was the worst part.
He was doing it for a good reason.
That was the worst part of that game. That is the absolute worst part of that game. I hated that aspect of Shadow the Hedgehog. Like all
I
that
think
time.
right.
We're not going into detail on that one, but
yeah. I will say, I do think the first line we got from Shadow compared to the first line we got from Knuckles in the trailers was a bit lame.
Yeah,
like when we first heard Knuckles, it was him just stopping Sonic Spin Dash, going, "Do I look like I need your power?" And then there's just Shadow, "You're a colorful bunch."
Yeah, I will say as well. The two memes that went around a lot after the trailer were Tails always gets shit from Shadow every time, and loads of people doing like extra things with the Knuckles punching. I've seen actually Sonic. I would like to fight.
Yeah, I was about to say.
A popular meme I saw was everyone ragging on Knuckles saying, "Why is Knuckles in pain when Shadow twists his wrist the right way?"
Yeah,
and it's not even that hard.
No, one of my favorite ones from that one was the twisted wrist moment, and it goes, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
bit of Sonic Adventure memeing there. But I will say they did do they have got me excited for this movie, which a lot of people are saying there's not enough marketing around this film. I think they did one trailer, they did enough marketing.
Yeah.
So
everyone knows what to expect at this point from a Sonic film.
Don't make another one because you've done enough where I'm ready to see this film.
Yeah,
we're gonna have Sonic and Eggman working together in this one. I don't think you can really do much more after that.
I won't say what our plans are to do professional and unprofessional about covering these films because we're definitely going to cover the Minecraft movie in a special professional and unprofessional.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about the Sonic. We talked about the Sonic movies in Anime Amigos. We'll probably just do it there.
We might, yeah. But the thing is, this one comes out on December 20th, so it's a little past the point at that time. So the point is, we will give our opinion on the Sonic movie at some point in some fashion. We might have to do like two small professional. We might have to do a small professional and professional in January, like just before we do our awards.
Yeah. Well, even though we'll have to record a segment of the Axia Christmas party.
Well, that's if I think we're actually doing that.
Calvin would do a standing ovation at the away day.
Yeah, but I will say there is going to be I think that's actually the party is going to be before the film comes out. Incidentally, I have told Amy I am not going to see this film with Raheem until after I've seen it at least once. I will go with him after that when I've seen everything and know what to expect. And also, I'm looking forward to seeing the audience reactions. Just for the moment Maria gets shot, a whole audience going, "Yeah!"
Yeah, I want to go opening night just for that.
Oh, that is.
What would be even worse is if it's just a bunch of kids in there. You start shouting, no one else does.
That's
just complete silence.
That's why I'm being very careful about what audience I go and see this with. But I am going to.
It's just dead silence. Just Cal standing up cheering.
Now, can I just stress we need to talk about one that I thought was a bit of a weird one to bring up, but the gods of gaming really came to Elliot's aid on this one because it.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
We know because Remedy's been talking a lot about getting Control and Alan Wake to be film and TV.
I believe that there was rumors of an Alan Wake TV series coming out just after the announcement of Alan Wake 2.
And of course, then what happened last night is that Annapurna announced that a large portion of their executives are leaving the company.
Actually, it's pretty much the entirety of their video game division.
It's mental. They just all walked out of nowhere. Now, Jason Schreier did.
It's literally what happened to the Escapists last year.
Yeah. Now the good news is Jason Schreier who broke the story, did confirm Alan Wake and Control are not affected by this because this is a separate deal, and those Control 2 is definitely still happening, and Alan Wake plans can move forward as well. If worse comes,
I'm thinking maybe they Annapurna's co-financing Control 2 because Remedy kind of learned from Alan Wake 2. It's the fact that while it's still selling steadily, Alan Wake 2 still hasn't made its money back. They're kind of okay, yeah, we're gonna if we want to keep doing as ambitious as we are, we kind of need to change things up a bit.
Yeah, but Control 2 is Well, I think Control 2 is safe. That's the point. Control 2 is safe.
Yeah, I mean, even without the fun, I'm certain Control 2 will still be coming out.
Yeah, here's the thing. What can happen is it might be slightly delayed because of it. Because what they could do is then, if things are going really bad with Annapurna, they could write a deal to get out of the contract they have with it and pay them up a little bit, and then go to someone else to make back the money. Like, for example, they could go to PlayStation right now and say, do you want a year's exclusivity on Control 2? We'll give
no, I feel like they'll go to Epic Games for that. Because Alan Wake 2 is not on Steam, it's only on the Epic Games Store.
So, yeah, I mean, Epic Games, I think Epic Games would definitely do it. I mean, it would depend how much money they want to make back from it. And, of course, going to Epic Games would mean they could still keep Control 2 multi-plat. Wait a minute, wasn't the first Control, wasn't that briefly an exclusive on PlayStation, or am I getting that wrong?
I don't think so.
I probably am getting that wrong. I think it did release on Xbox as well. But, the one thing so basically, I had to share that with Elliot last night because I wanted to. I didn't want him to go away thinking, "Oh God, what is the future for Control and Alan Wake?" And I just said, "Yeah, no, they're fine. They are fine." Jason Schreier has confirmed this with his sources, and you're probably not going to get a much better game reporter working right now.
Yeah. I mean, he was literally the only thing that was good about Kotaku before he went freelance.
Yeah, well, he's working for Bloomberg now, pretty much.
Oh, right, okay.
Pretty much full time. He's kind of freelance still, but he's doing most of his work at Bloomberg, which actually is great for him because he's actually getting a lot more resources and a lot more backup in terms of like fact checking. So I think. How do we feel about the idea though of an Alan Wake TV series or?
Oh, I am very excited. I feel like Alan Wake is one of the few games I would think will be perfect for a TV series. Because like you could expand on the story, have more in-depth look on the characters. Because like what I'm wondering is if they decide to adapt Alan Wake 2, how are they going to do like the FMV sequences from the game?
The weird thing is,
I'm really interested in seeing what they do with it.
The weird thing is, I actually had a thought the other night. What if you did get Pedro Pascal in to play Alan Wake? Like, he would be all right in the role, I think.
Yeah. It's hard to go wrong with just a writer type character.
Because one thing I thought, you definitely don't want Keanu Reeves. You would just be seeing like it's Keanu Reeves playing Alan Wake. That's all you'd see the entire time.
As long as Sam Lake is involved in the writing, I think we are good.
Yeah, and I think
Sam Lake has to be involved in that.
And I think Sam Lake will not agree to any contracts that don't give him some sort of creative control. Sam Lake is very astute in what he does, so I imagine he's not going to want to sign over his baby like that.
Yeah. All I'll say is I'm very happy he now, after Alan Wake 2, he now has the status he has.
I will say,
because Sam Lake is legit one of my favorite developers. People in gaming. He's amazing.
This is what's going to get my mum watching a video game adaptation because my mum is actually someone who really likes the story of Alan Wake. So,
oh right, damn.
Yeah, no, she because I remember playing on the Xbox 360, and she came over one time and said, actually, this is a really cool idea here. And I really like the story.
I mean, it is very much a Stephen King-esque story.
Yeah, that's
well, it's very good thing she didn't watch Ren's stream then.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh god, if she'd watched Ren's stream.
Don't remind me. I don't like that he was just spent the entire time slagging off one of my favorite games.
I think that's why I'm interested on getting him to play 2 on stream. I think he would be very. I think we need to finish our story on that one. So I think next year we will eventually stream Alan Wake 2.
Oh please!
Well, no, it's going to end with Elliot killing Ren if he slags off the sequel as well.
And I will stress this, Elliot. We're going to take a risk on the copyright strike. We are going to play the whole of Herald of Darkness.
Yay! I mean, I don't think there will be any copyright issues.
No, because it's not a license. It's licensed for the game itself. So I think they.
Yeah, it's an original song.
So
and like we got other songs by Poets of the Fall in the actual Alan Wake 1. Nothing bad happened.
Whereas with the one in the original Alan Wake, I didn't want to risk it with the Ozzy Osbourne song.
Yeah, understandable. But I mean, we at least got like Poet and the Muse. I think that was it.
Yeah, but okay. So I'm gonna say right now, we should call it here because we've been at this a long time, and it makes up for our shorter anime amigos recently. So
I forgot which we have one next week.
We have one next week, so tune in for that. And next month's Professional, we're going to be discussing quite a bit because we'll finally get our hands on Silent Hill 2.
We're gonna get new Zelda.
I might want to talk about the Plucky Squire because that looks pretty good, and we can all play.
We're also gonna get Metaphor Refantasio, possibly.
Yes, Metaphor Refantasio is going to be on our talking point.
And also, Plucky Squire is coming out on PS Plus day one.
So we're all going to be able to play that.
So we're all going to be able to play that, and I am going to be playing the PlayStation version because as much as it looks like it could play on the Switch fine, I really want to see what it looks like in 4K.
Yeah.
Also, we just get it for free, so that's a plus.
We're also. I would say there might be a few things that come down the line that affect it. Obviously, we can't say what the news item's going to be because anything can happen. But
I might also be talking about the new Lollipop Chainsaw reboot.
Yeah. If you have some time on that one, we'll do that one. So. Thank you all very much for joining us. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.